My duty is to my heart.
So, what even is Mulan II? Well, firstly and most obviously, it's one of the many direct-to-DVD sequels that Disney pumped out in the early 2000s, trying to cash in on the home video bubble, as well as their own properties. On the Mulan II wiki page, under the Reception subheader, Scott Gwynn of Cinema Blend wrote that Mulan II is a direct-to-DVD disgrace that takes everything excellent about its predecessor film, rips it to shreds, and uses it for rat cage lining. Yikes. So I've done my fair share of kid review movies on this channel, and I always try to be fair and look deeper into them, even when they don't have a big budget or even just weird. We have to meet movies where they're at, and keep in mind that the direct-to-DVD Disney sequels were simply made to make money and babysit your kid for 90 minutes, or in Mulan 2's case, a mere 79 minutes. But that doesn't mean that we should be apathetic towards them. Rather, we should demand better media with more thought put behind it, especially since Mulan was one of Disney's first princesses of color and seemed to be one of the strangest sequels, and honestly had some pretty questionable animation at times.
Like Codina Lily.
Though this movie is very weird in many aspects, like how Mushu is now the villain, the main plot revolves not around Mulan's cunning or quick thinking skills, but talking about the validity, or rather the invalidity, of arranged marriages.
Your Majesty, an arranged marriage?
And where we think a major character dies, I do think that it's overall just harmless to watch now, as it came out like 16 years ago. So rather than this being a very serious video essay or a very special episode about Mulan 2, I thought it'd just be fun to talk about how odd and fun it is in a numbered list and for our shared enjoyment. And of course, if you do end up liking this video, please engage with it and interact with it. Give it a like, leave a comment, share it with someone, because that's the best way for the algorithm to know to share this video with more people. And if you do end up liking this video, maybe I'll do more fun types of videos in the future about Disney sequels, because there are so freaking many of them. But first, let me introduce myself. Hi everyone, my name's Cheyenne and I'm an Asian American adoptee and expat living in Brazil. I post new videos every other Friday about pop culture, mainly video essays and commentary. So if you're into that, please subscribe and ring the bell to be notified every time I post a new video. And of course, if you want to help the channel grow, please think about donating in exchange for some awesome perks like seeing videos early and of course, patron exclusive videos. And thank you so much to all of my subscribers and all of my patrons. You guys make my day every day, so thank you so much. So let's dive in and see what we've got.
Yeah, you're her lucky cricket. You're lucky I don't break out the bug spray.
Mulan 2 takes place 1 month after the events of the first film. It opens with Mushu living it up with the ancestors as he's just helped Mulan save China, and it's kind of annoying to sit through, honestly, because I'm sorry, but Mushu is annoying. I know a lot of people like him, but I personally find him really hard to sit through, especially in the sequel. He's a huge distraction in both movies, but at least in the first one, he's a friend rather than a foe, and even goes through the same thing Mulan does, needing to learn that he's worthy and valid and doesn't need other people's approval. One of the strongest scenes of the first movie is the two of them looking at their reflections and seeing that they've had the inner strength they've needed inside of themselves all along. But in this movie, he's the villain. He wants to break Mulan and Shang up because after they get married, he won't be the top ancestral guardian anymore. And because of this, we have to sit through a lie-revealed plot where Mulan gives this whole speech about her and Mushu being BFFs, only for Mushu to reveal that he's been going behind her back and ruining her relationship for his own benefit. And this lie-revealed Mushu nonsense is even more annoying when we already see that Shang and Mulan need to work more at their relationship. We see that they don't agree on everything or don't really know important things about one another. Like, for example, Mulan wants to have a few kids, whereas Shang wants to have as many as possible. Like, that's kind of a big deal.
Did you hear that?
Not exactly a harmonious couple, are they?
It's like, why do we need this extra Mushu nonsense when the conflict between them is already set up? But before Shang and Mulan tie the knot, they're called on by the Emperor. But before we talk about that, let's talk briefly about the animation.
Like them blue are bent in the wind.
In the scene where the messenger gives the Emperor's decree to the couple, it's just hilarious because like this man charges into their engagement party and they're just like standing there. There's a lot of like frozen people in this movie, but I honestly just think that's kind of funny. The animation is so awkward at times, but it's enjoyable because of that.
What?
Don't play coy. I saw you outside my tent.
What? I haven't left my post.
And I suppose you weren't gossiping about me with the princesses. And next time, don't leave your post.
Who am I talking to?
I'll tell you, people are nuts, you know?
Like, there are just some very weird freeze frames in this movie, and it's again just really funny. I also really like how the kids are animated to be like literally fluttering in the wind in the first song. It reminds me a lot of The Emperor's New Groove for some reason. There's also an animation callback in the rice paddy where we see the same woman from the first movie, which I thought was pretty cool. Mushu is animated particularly creepily because he's supposed to be the villain in this one, and yeah, it just works. So let's move on to what the Emperor's decree is about.
Your Majesty, an arranged marriage?
So Mulan and Shang are called on by the Emperor to escort his 3 daughters to be wed to the Mongol Emperor in order to forge an alliance between the 2 nations rather than going to war. Shang and Mulan agree, of course, but Mulan is hesitant about the arranged marriages, or at least the idea of an arranged marriage, even though it's for the betterment of the entire Middle Kingdom. But let's just not get into the whole logistics of this, because then the entire movie just falls apart. The princesses, Mei, Ting Ting, and Sue, voiced by Lucy Liu, Sandra Oh, and Lauren Tom. Yeah, the voice cast of this movie is amazing. They even brought back Lea Salonga for the opening song.
Alone is not enough. You need both together.
Though Eddie Murphy didn't come back and was voiced by this guy instead. Anyway, the 3 princesses are unhappy at the prospect of marrying men they don't know and not having a say in if they want to have an arranged marriage or not.
There'll be none of that. Remember, May, you are to be married in 3 days. You gave your solemn oath.
You're right.
It's important to note that it's of course fine to be in an arranged marriage and people even seek them out willingly. I think there's a big misconception that arranged marriages are inherently abusive or bad, when that's not necessarily true. But the women in this movie don't want it, and that's fine. Let's not even bring in the part where the fate of the nation hangs in the balance, because in the end it doesn't matter anyway, and everything is meaningless.
Well, I don't need her to be all smug and snooty.
I got a plaque right here that says I kicked her booty.
We have everything we dreamed we'd find when we came back from war.
Yeah, everything but a girl worth fighting for. Hey, something in your gut. There's a girl worth fighting for.
And I think she wants us to come over.
To help them with this mission, Shang and Mulan recruit Ling, Chien Po, and Yao. These 3 are honestly really funny to watch, and they even do a cool reprise of A Girl Worth Fighting For and lampshade the lyrics a bit. I actually really like this song in the first movie, and it's probably one of my favorites, but it's funny how they kind of address how it could be problematic if taken too literally. I really like how one woman punches Ling in the face, and how they talk about how their standards of their future brides are extremely unrealistic. Ling even says that he wants a girl who will look at him as if he's a god.
What's the problem? All I asked for was a girl who would worship the dirt I walk on.
I simply asked for someone who would cook for me morning, noon, and night.
I just wanted a girl who likes to laugh and thinks I'm a god.
The matchmaker even has a funny cameo where she tells the men, "Come back when you've got some personalities."
Come back when you get personalities!
Which I thought was very clever, since the men are kind of one-dimensional, especially Chien Po, who only talks about things in terms of food, and the father, who's always spouting some kind of nature-related idiom.
Gambling is like playing mahjong with blank tiles. When one's heart is overfilled with joy, some may spill from the eyes. Not exactly a harmonious couple, are they? The blossoms reach for the sunlight above, yet unseen the roots reach for the rainwater below. Sun and rain, so different, yet only by working together do they create harmony and life.
In the end, and you've probably guessed it, the 3 men and the 3 princesses end up getting together and being perfect matches for one another. And the men do kind of have to change themselves, which is cool. Well, they don't really change per se, but they treat the princesses like people rather than objects to be won, mainly because they know they're off limits because the women are engaged to be married. But that flies out the window really quick, and they just end up falling head over heels in love with one another, which is fine. They're clearly made and written to be together.
My duty is to my heart.
Mulan rejoices that the six of them have fallen in love because she helped Mei come to the realization that her duty is to her heart rather than it being this binary of duty versus heart.
Your duty was to stay home, but your heart told you to break the rules. How did you decide between duty and heart?
Well, it wasn't easy, but by following my feelings, I wound up doing the right thing. I guess I learned that my duty is to my heart.
My duty is to my heart. Yes, that makes sense. That's marvelous. Thank you, Fa Mulan. Thank you.
And this is a huge lesson / theme the movie tries to hammer in. Basically, the Mulan II drinking game is taking a shot every time someone says duty or heart.
That my duty is to my heart.
My duty is to my heart.
I know where my duty lies, May.
That my duty is to my heart.
It's our duty.
I have come to realize that my duty is to my heart. Duty!
My heart tells me my duty and I follow it.
Oh!
But you don't trust your heart. Sometimes I wonder if you even have one.
Mulan, of course, believes that following your heart is more important than duty, as seen with her actions in the first movie, where she followed her intuition and loyalty and love for her father. Shang is all about duty and following the mission, which of course makes more sense here, as the only way they're going to save China is if these marriages go through. But his conviction turns out to be meaningless, as Deus Ex Mushu comes to the rescue and removes any stakes this movie could have possibly had.
You got anything to say, Lord Double Chin?
Now let's talk about Mulan's character. So Mulan's character definitely takes a beating in the sequel. Firstly, she doesn't do anything creative or inventive besides persuading people to follow their hearts. We don't see any of her cool inventions in the beginning, nor her quick-wittedness. In fact, when she does have an out-of-the-box idea, like following the river, Shang impedes her by saying that it's not on the map, and they have this whole argument about men being like this and women being like that, and it's just like...
Past a town, and where there's a town, there's a road.
There's no town on the map.
Well then, maybe we should just forget the map and wing it.
We can't wing it. We need a new plan. We have 3 days. What if we get lost?
Then we pull over and ask directions.
We don't need to pull over and ask directions. We have a map.
What is it with men and asking directions?
What is it with women and map?
What a crowd, what a crowd!
Towards the end of the movie, when Mushu reveals that it's his fault that Mulan and Shang haven't been getting together and Mulan and Shang are about to reconcile, bandits attack them and Shang presumably dies. Honestly, the movie didn't really earn that, but it's just the biggest and most cinematic part of the movie that it still made me hold my breath for a second. Not to mention that Mulan finally becomes the character we all know and love. She's self-sacrificing, smart, strong, and decides to marry the prince rather than the princesses. In my opinion, the movie would have been just so much better if it started with Shang's death and Mulan had to marry the prince and they either had like an enemies to lovers thing, or they didn't get along and had a huge falling out and the climax could have been another huge battle or something. Either that or cut Mulan and Shang out of the sequel completely and just have the sequel be about the 3 side characters and the 3 princesses and them learning to live together, get along, go on adventures and whatnot. Mulan is definitely a hard story to write a good villain for. Watch my Mulan 2020 remake video here. But Mushu being the villain, or this kind of arranged marriage thing, wasn't it. Anyway, it feels as though they wrote Shang's death first and then had to write around it, and it shows, and it's just very clumsy. Especially since though Mushu was the main cause of the misunderstandings, they still had stuff they needed to work on, but just never do.
Way.
Blue.
Pink.
Mild.
Spicy.
Yes.
No.
I mean, they both apologize to each other in the end, but they never really have like a serious talk about the future. So number 7, this movie literally had no stakes. Anyway, like I said before, Deus Ex Mushu comes in and saves the day, meaning that not only was Shang's death pointless because he survives, but that they also didn't need to worry about duty or heart, and that the whole movie was meaningless and didn't change any status quo. Even Mushu gets to keep his pedestal, meaning that he never had to F up Mulan and Shang's marriage, as Shang brings his ancestors to Mulan's ancestral shrine rather than the other way around. There is one status quo change, and that is that Shang becomes like the only person to see and talk and interact with Mushu. I might be wrong, but I always thought Mushu was like Barney, like he existed but no one but Mulan could see or hear him. I mean, he is real in that he hinders and helps Mulan in the first one, but I don't remember him talking to anyone as himself. Overall, Mulan 2 is so freaking weird. It's definitely funny to watch at least once, but if you look too closely, you probably won't like what you see.
Like holding a lily.
I think the premise of Mulan 2 would have made a good TV show. Like, the whole getting the princesses to the emperor could have been like the whole first season, and they could have had a lot of adventures along the way. One thing that I really did like about the movie were the princesses. I like how they express that they don't want to be in an arranged marriage on their own, even before Mulan says anything to them, or even before they meet the 3 side characters.
The whole thing is so exciting. We're very happy, really.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Why? Because Yao has given you his heart?
No, it's not about his heart. It's about mine.
I really like how quiet they are, especially Mei, portrayed by Lucy Liu. Like, she whispers her lines, and I just think that it's kind of funny and nice. Mei is the quiet, shy one, Ting Ting is the older, more stern sister, but with a funny side, and Sue is not only a foodie, but is also the loud one of the group.
He may be coarse on the outside, but on the inside...
He's gross?
I mean under that. He smells deep, deep down, way down. There's something. Oh, Ting Ting! I think she's in love!
They do perfectly complement Yao, Ling, and Chien Po, so it all kind of comes together in the end. Rather than being like the Smurfette principle come to life, they each kind of are at least a little bit different to not be carbon copies of their male counterpart. The voice acting also brings a lot of life to all the characters, not just the princesses. Shang's voice actor, BD Wong, is amazing, and Sandra Oh really stands out as Ting Ting.
He's gross?
There's this song the sisters sing towards the middle of the movie too, where Mei says that she doesn't want to get married, not just because of Yao, but because she herself has felt trapped as a princess for a long time. They then sing about how being princesses is suffocating, and it's very much in the vein of the second Cinderella movie and the "maybe I don't want to be a princess" line that Jasmine says in Aladdin, which honestly is totally understandable. I mean, most royal families are just kind of awful. There's a reason why Harry and Meghan left, for example. So my final thoughts and the next video topic. I didn't find anything offensive about the movie or weird, and in fact, I really found it pretty enjoyable once I stopped trying to see it as a sequel to Mulan that had to live up to the first one, because we all know that in 2021, it was never supposed to be that. So that's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please help me with the algorithm. Like this video, comment, share it with someone, and of course subscribe and ring the bell to be notified every time I post a new video. I decided to end March with this more short and lighthearted video about Mulan 2 because in April, 2 heavier video essays will be coming out. One about the farewell and another one about the Snowflower and the Secret Fan movie adaptation with Hugh Jackman. So hopefully you guys all enjoy those coming next April, and if you want to be a patron and see these videos a little bit earlier or before anyone else, please check out my Patreon page and think about donating to the channel. These videos take a lot of time and effort, and they are a one-person show. I'm the only one working on these, so if you could donate even just a few dollars would help me chug along. So thank you so much, and I'll see you all in the next one. Have a great one. Bye. Bye.